Welcome to the Shannon Acheson Show, real business talk for real life. I'm Shannon, creative business coach, digital product lover, and your strategy sidekick. I've built a business that fits my life, and now I help other women do the same. No hustle, no fluff, just smart, honest conversations about building a business that works for you. Let's dive in. Okay, here's the deal. After every guest episode, I like to pause for a sec to pull out the good stuff. The moments that made me nod, scribble notes, or rethink something I thought I believed. There's always something they say that sticks with me. A tip, a mindset shift, a smarter way to do something. And I don't want these conversations to just sound good. I want them to help you build a business that actually fits your life. And I figure if I needed to hear it, maybe you did too. So this episode, it's just that, the gold, the stuff you can actually use. Short, punchy, and straight to the point. So you can take what you need and run with it. Hello and welcome back. I am so excited to share my key takeaways from my interview earlier this week with Brit Rhea. If you haven't listened to that one yet, make sure you go check it out. There's lots of little goodies in there. I'm going to pull, I think about 7 of those out today to just share with you. So let's just dive right into this. In talking with Brit started with e-commerce. So she was literally at one point surrounded by packages and boxes in her bedroom as she shipped these products, women's accessories out. And what she decided was that wasn't sustainable. So when you're building a business, this is something that I really teach and almost harp on, is that you need to choose where you're at, sort of what life season you're in. One of the things that we talked about is that I love the word balance, but she and I both agree that balance isn't possible in the sort of traditional sense of things. You need to pay attention to what season you're in. For Brit, she has a newborn baby now. And so she really needed to be able to have a business that was life first, that gave her more freedom than packaging up those products in her room, because that's just not scalable. And there's only so much you can do. And you're trading time for dollars in that situation. So you need to pay attention to the season you're in and adjust your business to focus on that versus trying to balance all the things. And also, you really want to make sure that your life is coming first. And so that doesn't mean necessarily this is what I'm talking about. It doesn't necessarily mean in the balance of hours, but what it means is that if you're going to do this entrepreneur thing, you design your business to fit around your life. If you are in a season where you only have 12 hours a week to work on it, then adjust what you're focusing on for that. Only focus on the things that bring great ROI, those things where, you're doing the thing and it's actually affecting the bottom line versus all the busy work, because as entrepreneurs, we know that, the work never ends. There's always something more to do. So depending on your life season, you really have to focus. The next thing that we talked about was, how Brit actually started out online after she did the online commerce sort of thing. She worked with something called master resale rights. And so that's where, let's say I created a course and I sold it to you, but along with selling you that course, I'm also giving you the rights to then resell that course. So those are master resale rights, or if you see MRR, that's what that means. And so she started with that and faceless marketing. So there's this big thing online. Personally, I think it's a bit of a fad where you do faceless marketing. You use basically B-roll and create reels and, carousels and things like that using B-roll, and you don't show your face. The problem with both of those things is that you are doing what everybody else is doing. There is no personal brand involved. And honestly, with all the AI stuff right now, that's only going to grow, and the way that Google is changing things and just all of that, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, your personal brand really matters. People will connect with you. They won't connect with, you may get a one-off sale here and there if you're selling something that's, a resale thing or without your face ever showing up online. That doesn't mean that you can't use B-roll in your reels and your stories and all of that. That's not what I'm saying. But as the only thing, people want to see your face. People want to connect with you. They want to hear your voice. That's why podcasts are so popular. That's why people show their faces in stories and all of those things. So personal branding really matters. And Brit realized that firsthand when she created her own product and started showing her face on Instagram. Not to mention that, putting your face online is sometimes a lot faster than finding that B-roll and then adding all the captions and text overlay and all of that. So personal branding really matters. Brit also talked about in her first year online, after the e-commerce thing, that felt like she was throwing spaghetti at the wall a little bit. And I've been there. I've done this. I've done this recently after changes and stuff with my other business. And so sometimes that's what it feels like. It feels like throwing spaghetti against the wall. But what she learned from that is that the things that didn't work were not failures. They were simply feedback on what wasn't working and how she could pivot instead. So keep that in mind. Things aren't failures, they're feedback. Another thing that we talked about was that she sort of, after failing for a few months, quote unquote failing, getting the feedback, with persistence was also the unfailing support of her husband. So one of these things I'm going to say, whether you're married or not, is when you're going to be an entrepreneur, yes, you have to believe in yourself. And yes, you need to, get back up after you fall down. But one of the things that really, really helps is to have someone in your corner who will give you support unconditionally. Is that a friend? Is it your sister? Is it a parent if you're lucky enough to have that? Find your people who will give you that unconditional support and encouragement regardless of what's happening in your business. I know I have this. I'm very, very blessed to have this. My kids are amazing supporters, and my husband is like a rock star when it comes to that. When I've failed, when I haven't done as well as I wanted, when I haven't met my goals and things like that. And then on the flip side of that, when there's something big, my husband is super, super good at, giving me encouragement and telling me I can do it and just having faith in me. So the other thing that we talked about a little bit, a lot of what Brit teaches is ads in her low ticket launch code and also in Atomic Ads, 2 of her products. She believes in ads. She thinks that, and I agree, that they can accelerate things, but they are not the silver bullet. Some people think that that's the be all and end all, and that is the only way to get your eyes on things, when that is not true. There is still organic, there is still word of mouth, there is still all of that, but it's slower than ads. Ads admittedly are faster, but Brit really wanted to make sure that people knew, and I really want to make sure that people know that ads are not a silver bullet. If you have money for them, genuinely, truly, absolutely use them. I totally recommend them. However, if you are at a place where your budget is super, super tight and you cannot afford even $5 a day for ads, don't. If you think that you're going to have to pull money from your grocery budget or your mortgage or your rent, do not do that. Make sure that you're putting the money where it should be. Ads speed things up, but they are not a silver bullet fix-all for everything. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to pull out of my interview with Brit was really about systems and boundaries. So they are 2 different things, but systems are going to give you so much more time and space and efficiency in what you're doing. So when I say systems, I mean, yes, automations. So, if someone signs up for this, they automatically get a tripwire, which is something I love. Tripwire is they get shown a low ticket offer of yours, in case you don't know what that term means yet. And other systems are like, this is exactly what I do. You write out SOPs or standard operating procedures for this is how I publish a podcast episode every week. So first I do this, then I do this, then I do this. From everything from the actual scheduling of it down to the here's where I share it on social media. And once you have stuff like that in place, those systems and those SOPs, functioning going forward is going to be so much easier. This is something I really learned and leaned into when my daughter worked with me on my other brand, Homemade Lovely. She's not currently working with me, but when she was, having those standard operating procedures and step-by-step things in place in a Google document linked to our Asana task list, that made things so much easier, because if you know what you're doing every week, that's great. But if you happen to go away for a couple of weeks, or you get sick, or your assistant is new, you need to have those things in place, those systems in place, so that you're not reinventing the wheel every single time you go to do something. That is so inefficient and so not CEO or business-like. And so systems really, really matter and help. Along with systems comes boundaries for how much you're going to work. So this is why I say they're separate, but they kind of tie together, because they do go hand in hand in that when you have systems in place, it's much easier to put those boundaries on your time. So Brit talked about intentionally taking, for her family, taking Saturdays off, because that's when it works best for her and her husband. Dean and I really try to, Dean's my husband, in case anyone doesn't know that. Dean and I really try to take Sundays off for the most part. I sometimes take Saturdays off of business too, depending on how busy we've been. But boundaries as to, it's, midnight and you wake up in the middle of the night and you check your email. I don't know why I insist on doing that, but, that's something that shouldn't happen if I'm setting proper boundaries for my time, for my sanity, for all of those things. So that's sort of really important, is those boundaries, and then the systems to keep things running smoothly so that you can set those boundaries. So those are sort of the things that I took out of my interview with Brit Rhea. Again, if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to it. It's a really great episode on how she talked about starting out. And, one of my favorite things about business online is low ticket offers. And so we talked a lot about that too. So, those are the things. I hope you found them helpful. If I just seemed like I was rambling, that's okay too. Come back and listen to the next episode. I appreciate you being here, and thank you so much. Okay, that's it for today. Just a few takeaways to tuck in your back pocket or to try out this week. If one of them hit home, I'd love to hear. Email, DM me, or leave a review. And if you haven't listened to the full interview yet, go back and hit play. It's totally worth a listen. That's it for today on The Shannon Acheson Show. If you found this helpful, follow the show and share it with a friend. And hey, if you're not sure what kind of business actually fits your life, take the free quiz at shannonatcheson.com. It'll point you in the right direction. Thanks for listening. Talk again soon.